All right, good evening. Am I on? Yep, there I am. Johnson County Drainage Board, Tuesday evening, August 4th, 2026. First thing on the agenda, well, let's first do a roll call. We got Bob, Chad, and myself, so we've got a quorum tonight. One other should be joining us here in just a little bit, so he'll be in here shortly. First up,
This one.
yeah, Roger, you want to swear everybody in?
All right, all of you
Thank
folks
you.
that are going to be testifying, that is living information, please stand and raise your right hand. You and each of you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give before the Johnson County Drainage Board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
We'll be
Thank
here for a
you.
while. First up is Greg, surveyor's report. Go ahead.
Minutes.
Wow. Okay, approve the minutes from the last drainage board meeting.
Yeah, a motion approved. Bob, second the motion of the minutes.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, all opposed, same, motion carries. Now you're up, Greg.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. You've got in your packet a copy of the ditch balances and the expenditures for July. Last month, we tabled the Shirley urban drain Shirley tile vacation. We tabled it because the condition wasn't acceptable. We've talked to the contractor. It's possible that they could be fixing it. So what I want to do is just go ahead and not accept the open ditch and not vacate the Shirley tile. Let the petitioner come back and we'll address it when they get it done and it's acceptable.
That would really take no affirmative action on the part of the board if the recommendation is to do nothing.
I don't think so.
So they just move along.
Okay. Got one more on here, Greg.
Got one more. You've got before you a request for a vacation of the Scott Pruner. Surveyor recommends that we have a hearing on this set for October 6th. This is related to the Duke site too. This is the northeast corner of Whiteland Road and 135.
Made a motion to have a hearing.
Yeah.
Got a motion for a hearing on October 6th. All right, we got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
And then the only thing I have is just a reminder to the board that September 1st is the reassessment hearing for LW Jones. Notices have gone.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
That was short. All right, thank you. First up is DR 26031-3641 AMD Solar Stellar Energy Solutions, Kimberly Horn.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. We heard this last month and they received approval. But in going back through looking at the landscape plan, it appears that the landscape area and the fence area are encroaching. And I just wanted to bring that back before the board so that it got on record that there is an encroachment to that site plan.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you have to have any action on it.
No, it's pretty well covered by the statutes. They, point plantings and fences are allowed in the easement area, so long as they don't interfere with the drain, but they exist at the owner's risk, can be removed at any time by you if needed without liability to the county or the board.
And I included with the board a picture of the ditch in that area, and it will need some work on it. So in the future, that landscape will disappear.
Since you know that's going to happen, it might be a good idea, if you haven't already done so, to put the owner on notice that will occur, give them an opportunity. Maybe they'll want to move that
Save
stuff
some
before-
trees.
before it gets removed.
How far in the future, Greg, are you going to anticipate work being done in that ditch?
Probably 3 years. If I can stretch it that far. There's only 3,000 in the budget.
Okay.
Cash balance, and it's probably 15,000 work.
So it'll take a while. Okay. You guys fully aware? Okay. Okay. I don't think we need any action. Just letting them know, just so you guys know, if we get into it, we'll lose some landscaping. So, okay. All right, that's that one. That was a pretty easy one. So you get early evening, guys. Next up is DR 3561-24 and DR 3559-24. This is Haymaker South and North. We're going to take them both at the same time because they're kind of conjoined here.
Right.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yep. My name's Andrew Barkosi with Barkosi Surveying, 4800 West Fifth Valley Road, Suite 0, Greenwood, Indiana, 46142. We brought this, the owners are also here as well. If any discussion needs there. This was originally, again, brought through, it was a 4 lot minor plats, approved by you guys back in 2024. Since then, the owners have decided to redesign the drainage that was provided by that plan. We went with more of a natural plan more than kind of constructing the dry retentions. They're more of a fit the contours of the existing land, makes it look more natural, a little bit easier to build. So we've come through here, all the release rates we do meet. So we're not asking for anything there. We are asking for a few waivers, if you guys remember from last month, just on the size of the orifices. We're requesting for 2 ponds to have smaller than the minimum on that, just so we can meet the release weights and hold it down low. And then we got into the discussion, if you guys recall, about the wells. So this is the site. Next slide. So this is the new supporting data plat. As you can see, all the lots. We got 3 dry retentions, pretty much in front of each one of the culverts where all the stormwater leaves from the site. And then the back used to be a wet pond, and we're going to redesign it to another dry retention. Again, still meeting all the release rates and catching all the runoff here. Go to the next slide. This is the drainage basins. These big bold lines are the flows from each area that flow to the pond. So you can see each of them. Obviously, it's the biggest one, the big dry retention in the back. These are very similar to what Banning had designed originally, but they kind of were doing a bunch of grading to the site and bringing it in and changing the natural contours. We're trying to leave everything more natural as possible, and just capturing it where it's already going and slowing it down before it leaves. So this is the one basin that was kind of in discussion from last with the neighbor to the south here. Discussing whether this lot was really captured here. As you can see, the contours do flow to it, but to bring a little bit more reassurance, we're going to design during the pond stage. We're going to design a swale right here to make sure this all does get directed to that pond, to make sure it's not hitting the road or going past the dry retention. So we're going to work with that on there. The next issue was the culvert itself. The owner said it was clogged and it wasn't flowing. It kept getting backed up and overflowing the road, which it was. So we'll go to the next photo. I went down there today and took pictures of it. So this is looking at the culvert. You're looking south, so you're on the actual minor plat site. As you can see, it's typical roadside ditch. got a little bit of dirt in it, but nothing too crazy. You go to the next photo. I actually got a photo inside, and you can see daylight on the other. So it is not clogged. It is open and flowing. We'll go to the next photo. This is standing at the culvert, looking east. So you can see there's no erosion or anything like that. It's corn and it's all vegetated. This one is standing at where the well was being dug and looking south. So again, you can kind of see, your standard farm lane over here and your grass roadside ditch. So no erosion or anything going on there. Next photo. This is where the well was being dug. Since this meeting, they've gone out and they've sold grass or sold straw blanketed the entire drive, and grass is actually starting to grow on it, which is great. So, no more cause for erosion or anything going on by that. Go to the next photo. This is the culvert now looking north. So we're standing on the south part of the road looking north. You can see here, that's the culvert. And this is the swale that comes out from it. So you can see there's some boulders and rocks there. Go to the next photo. See, there's actually rocks in front of the culvert. But again, you can see it's not clogged. It is flowing. And looking at it, I'm trying to figure out why this is overflowing. You go to the next photo. It's the swale. So this part of the swale is higher than the invert of the culvert by 6 to 8 inches probably. So what's happening is the water is coming through the culvert and it can't go anywhere. So it's just backing up and eventually toppling over the road is what's happening. And then in big rains, it makes it even worse because the culvert's not sized for large rain anyways. So it just keeps going and backing up, and that's what's causing a backup in this culvert. So you go to the next photo. So this is the swale. The culvert's right there, and as you can see, that's the bottom of the swale. So it's just too high. This is all higher than there, so the water just can't go anywhere. And then as the swale goes, it actually curves underneath this pine tree and heads west. Sorry, it just daylights, just ends. So if you go to the next photo, this is standing at the road looking west. Culvert is right here. You can see the water needs to get to the pond, but that swale, what's happening, that swale's going here and it's going that way, and then obviously the swale's too high, so nothing's getting to where it needs to go quickly, and that's what also helps causes the backup. If the culvert was able to get the water out quicker, water wouldn't be able to pond as well, and so the culvert would work more properly. And again, here you can see that that swale goes that way instead of where it's trying to go, which is to the pond. That's where the water needs to go. And so it's kind of the issues we were discussing at the last meeting, just kind of our findings and kind of what we've done since then as well with the well and everything like that. So more than happy to answer any questions or if you need anything else.
Board got any questions? No. Okay.
For the record, Richard Hoover, Johnson County Planning Engineer. We've reviewed the calculations and plans that have been sent. They do indeed meet with our drainage ordinance. There are 2 waivers. The first one Andrew talked about was the reduction of the orifices from a minimum of 4 inches to 2.75 and 3.5 inch orifices to help choke down the water, the release rate. The other, instead of having an under drain, they designed an infiltration basin in the bottom of each of the detention facilities, and based on the soils, that's an adequate replacement for the 6-inch under drain. And it, instead of releasing more water downstream, that's groundwater, it would actually soak into the ground. So we recommend approval of the 2 waivers, and we recommend approval of the design as well.
Okay. Anybody from the audience want to speak on it?
Richard Huffine, 4489 West Road 100 North, Parkersville 46106. This is the picture that I took of the recent rain that we had out there. This reoccurs most rains that we have. The water doesn't get away enough and from what's coming off of that farm field. You can go to that other slide.
That's weird.
There we go.
Yeah, I said that's weird. I don't know why it's stuck on the one.
If you look,
Yeah, I don't.
if you look at the picture over here, on there, this is during that same rain that we just had. You did last weekend. And that water in that field, I think, is not showing the proper flow that's actually happening out here. 'Cause that water is sitting right there where a dry pond should sit. The previous plans had dry ponds at the front of each one of the properties. Okay, therefore, if there's a problem with any kind of dry pond, you have a recourse to go back to a property owner. By them combining these dry ponds, now you've got a mix of 2 or 3 people that you got to deal with if they don't maintain those dry ponds and keep the flow where it should be and how it should be. So I just have a problem with what's out there actually. It's very nice that they had the grass planted there, but that swale, the way it is right there, I think would be remedied better by a separate dry detention. Would also in doing that, what is the expectation of dealing with those property owners? How do they work with it to each other? I don't want the answer, but if I have recourse and there's too much coming onto my property at the wrong rate, who do I go after? Do I come here to this department here and they then go back to the property owner? Is there gonna be something in their title work that guides them to that, or a contract or anything along those lines?
You want to answer that? Yeah, it would come back to you guys.
Okay.
Typically on a larger subdivision, you're dealing with the homeowners association, the homeowner owns all of that. For the smaller minor plats, if it goes across 2 or 3 properties, the property owners are responsible for that. They don't necessarily need to have an agreement or a maintenance. We don't have anything that actually requires that.
Is there anything in the deed restrictions, Roger?
No, not on something like that. And Mr. Hoover's correct. The responsibility to maintain one's property in such a way that it doesn't cause damage to the neighbors is the responsibility of the property owner, not the county.
So again, you'd have to go and remedy the situation with 3 different owners.
Well, with whoever owns the offending property, yes.
Now that person that's gonna sit on lot 3S has no dry pond. The dry pond is over on 2N and 4S.
Okay.
So there's nobody to go after with in that particular situation.
Somebody must own the property. There must be an owner.
No, there will be an owner eventually,
That's who's responsible.
then he's responsible for part of that dry pond that's 2 properties over.
He's responsible for his own property, sir. He's not responsible for his neighbor's property any more than he's responsible for your property.
Okay, can we go back to the Barcosi plat map?
Andrew, before we go back to that, you're building a berm across there to capture that water to take it to the pond on
Three,
lot.
yes, what he's talking about.
3S is the one that doesn't have retention on it or detention on it.
It's because its flow flows to the culvert, and that's why it's an off-site dry detention, which is pretty standard. we do off-site detention ponds quite often. Just because you put it at the low spot, which is the culvert.
Yeah.
So that's where it's going. So you take where the flow goes and you just block it up pretty much. So so we put it where it's going to be located. And that was the question. He's saying that he doesn't think that flows to it. He's saying it flows to the road, not to the dry retention. But as the contours show, it does mainly go that direction. However, we're going to also add a swale along there before it gets to there. So the water from the house and all that's going to flow to it. But as for who the maintenance is going to be go by, I would assume they would come up with some agreement, like a shared drive, like we have shared drives all over Johnson County, and they have shared maintenance agreements. I have a feeling that's how this should be addressed, but that'll be on the lot owners or the lot sellers, whoever wants to set that in place, which then puts in place, a fund or whatever for maintenance for that dry retention. That's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, I think he wants to go.
Yes, you can go to that.
So he's saying because it's here, it's not on his. This guy's not going to be liable for any of the maintenance of that, which that's correct because it's not on his property. However, it would be on the other two, and if they want to include the third guy because his drainage flows to there, that would be into a HOA or some type of agreement between lots. That's between them. But yeah, like I stated, there's a little high point right here, which all directs everything to there, and so. We'll just add a small little swale here just to add for better recoursing the actual impervious surface being added. I do also want to mention too, these dry retention ponds are going to eliminate the flush of high rains to the road. They will be holding the water, not the road anymore. Pretty much the road is acting kind of like a dry retention. And if you go back to his photo, what happened there, it looks like the water's actually in the road and it's not getting to the culvert. Obviously a little grade and there's the water
that way for
culvert
years.
flow. Right here. What's happened is this grass needs to be trimmed off. It's roll roads, they grow up over time. But that's what's happening. It's just not getting into the culvert there.
But every time, grass or not, that water goes, you can see it's going right over the top of the road right now,
Right.
or in that picture.
And this water is probably mainly from the road itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not even from the lots. It's this runoff. And what's happening is it's instead of having because there's no roadside ditch, no real defined roadside ditch, it's catching the lip and riding down, and that's what's happening. So if this gets eliminated here, the water would have a way into the culvert's open. It's got a giant hole in front of it. It would drop and flow. Well, it wouldn't flow because the south side's all blocked up, but it would get into the culvert and out of the road. And then if you go back to the grading, the photo you had with the little pond, that just looks like the ground just wasn't. There's probably trampled down the trucks.
Well,
that's just
That was a very big rain as well.
that too.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean,
We'll have more of those.
Yeah, sure.
But-
But this flow is it's probably not this. It's probably just the actual surface water, and it has not gone into it, and it's not graded. It's got bumps in it, so
Okay.
the little bumps are holding it. Probably from the well trucks that were going over it.
so just let me ask a question. If I was like this guy or a homeowner, if the maintenance on the retention pond isn't kept up, right?
Mhm.
And you're worried it's not gonna send more water on you, it's gonna back up on those people.
Correct.
So
That's
it'd be their problem. Cause if you're reducing down the orifices and
they're
everything,
tiny.
if it gets clogged, then it's gonna back up on their property, not yours.
And I think we're with the waiver, we're going to petition to do anti-clog
Yeah.
things on there to help reduce that. But yes, it'll be on that homeowner. But honestly, he's going to want to fix if his pond's not draining. He's going to want to go
Well, yeah, that's
maintain
what
it
I'm
better
saying.
because they don't want it. They don't want.
I don't think it's
mosquito
gonna
pond out
affect
there.
your property as much as it would
Sure,
theirs.
correct. It's going to affect the actual owner's whole lots more than downstream.
What I would like to know, if you can go back to Barcosi map, the flow map, is half of this property is probably leaning towards there. I'd like to know how far over that swale's gonna go.
It'll go over to capture it all. It's the high point right there. I haven't designed it yet. It'd be a simple design. We've got plenty of drop. So this is your high points right here. It's that hole. So it'll be somewhere over here, and it'll come right through there, something like that. So pretty much the main thing is, your house is going to sit here. That's prime spot for a house. Nice flat area up in the air. It's going to sit here. So the main impervious surface and additional flow is actually going to come here. This is already grass. This is actually going to have less water than what it is now. So the impervious is what we're really worried about. But this flows this way. But like I said, we'll design a small little swale to capture it before it goes over. You get into the pond.
Also, would like to respectfully request that dry detention ponds are built prior to any property development. I think that was approved last year. With the plat itself, I'd just like to make sure that that stays intact. And I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Angela Huffine, 4489 West Road, 100 North Bargersville, the property owner to the south. This is my husband Rich, and I need an explanation on a swell. Is that the same thing as like a roadside culvert or a roadside ditch?
Swale is a ground made ditch. Yeah, a swale is a ditch.
Okay,
That's
it's
good.
like a roadside ditch.
Yeah.
Cause I've heard a couple of statements of it's up to the property owner to take care of what happens on their property. And with the lot 3S not having a retention on it, the pictures that Mr. Barkozy provided tonight on our property, the reason that is so bad is because the property owner across from us did not maintain and do anything on their side. All the stuff that's in the ditch, the rocks, everything came from across the road. We didn't do any of that. We didn't put any of that stuff there. It flowed over the road. It flowed in through the culvert. It has built up on our side and it is going around the trees because that's just where water's going to flow. So in my mind, the velocity and the flow over the years have created the problem on our side. So if you put the retention, that helps that problem on the other side. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so then I would respectfully request that the board also look at putting a retention on property 3S. The original built this here. So this was what we got from Marcosi. I don't have, you don't have a camera thing, do you? Okay, I'm sorry. So like, if you can see this is the same thing that you see up here, but the yellow down there that we have put in, those were the retention ponds that were provided by Banning 2 years ago and approved by this board. And there's retention on every single lot. And that was put in place to prevent a flow problem. On here, lot 3S that was approved 2 years ago has a pond or a detention area. So I would like to see that so that it doesn't keep occurring and making things worse on our side.
I think they've readdressed that with this current plan to catch all that water even from the contour of the land that's existing. Banning's no longer doing this. I know we approved that, but they've asked for waivers and they've redesigned and came back to us and asked for a change.
Right.
That's why we're here. So.
Yeah. So can I ask another question? The lines that are on here, like these little lines here, that means water's going like this, right?
Correct. They're not lines.
So if you look at, I don't know if he provided those to you guys or not, but
Yep.
if you look at everything on 3S, it is going right like this. It is going,
Well, some of it's going to the back. If you look at the lower numbers on 3S, they're going to the back.
right.
They're flowing backwards because of the contour.
But majority of them are going this way.
And
And they're gonna be putting a swale in there.
No, is that going to, that's gonna be as good as a detention? A swale will be as good as the detention.
No, what a swale does is it directs it to the detention.
Right.
Yes, at detention, it's just not on its side. It is still being detained.
Right.
It's just not on its line. We're not letting it just flow. But with the swale, we'll be able to direct it more directly to make sure it doesn't get to the road. And it'll keep following existing contours, but it'll just catch the little bit that if anything does get on it, it'll direct it, instead of flowing south, it'll flow west to the line,
Okay,
where it should,
so how does it get into here
the contour.
with the,
Yeah, so swale is a ditch.
when you make this,
That's a hole.
this will be.
Might be simpler, it's a berm.
Yeah, so this is a slow depression we're putting in the ground. That's what happens. So this is actually going to drop like a 3 foot drop at a 4-to-1 slope into a ditch, into a low depression. And so all these contours, every single one of them is a foot. So every time you see a line, that the elevation just went a foot. So it's flowing that way. It's when you do a swale,
Water here will just go like this.
it's
Just gotta go.
it falls directly how the lines flow. That's how that flows. And so with this swale, this small little area, I think you're worried about that kind of goes like this. That's why we're going to stretch that out, and we'll capture that little small areas here that'll then go this way and take it back to the detention where then it'll be held until it slowly releases.
Right. So why is the majority, looks like to me the majority of this is over here on this lot?
I do natural dry retentions. I keep things as natural as possible. I keep it with the area. So you can see that's existing contour. This is my contour. This exact shape. So what I do is I take existing flow and I stop it.
Right, so this lot here though. It's just like this spot, only like this one here goes like this. This one goes like this, but
So this is flowing.
I know, I see it on your paper.
Yeah.
But in person, when you're there,
It may look different.
They're like
Those are,
this.
Yeah, so those are actually field shot from Banning, and it's actually LiDAR on top of that. I've got 2 sources of contours, so I'm very confident that's exactly
it
how.
seems like to me that this little pond should shift just a little bit. Like it should still maybe be on here, on these tubes. And then.
It's all gonna go to the same place.
Right, whether I
It's all
shoot it or
going
not,
there.
I'm still gonna capture the flow. But like I said, I make them as natural as possible, so it's that it doesn't look any different than it does now. So you can see that's an existing line. And you can see the shape of my pond, it's almost the exact same shape.
So the board doesn't think that a retention needs to be on Rias? Yes or no?
Pardon me?
Do you think a retention or detention needs to be on lot Rias?
Not with his current design. No, he'll berm it.
I'm done.
Anybody else? Look for a motion from the board.
Yeah. Motion to approve with 2 waivers and the new design.
Okay. Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve with the 2 waivers included in that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So. Thank you. Next up is DR '26 000 3649 Bradley Minor Plat, preliminary final. Andrew, you've got the stage tonight.
Andrew Barcosi Surveying, 4800 West Smith Valley Road, Suite O, Greenwood 46142. This is a 1-lot minor plat. That's a little bit different than we've typically done in the past. All we're doing is adding a little 2-acre lot up here in the corner. The existing lot already has a residence, an auxiliary residence, a barn, and they have sheep that graze out in the field. The interesting thing about this property is the ditch and that flows through it. So there is a ditch. It actually used to flow all the way through here, in a very defined ditch, and then these ponds have been put in. I don't know when, but a long time ago, that someone just burned up the dam, to make these ponds. With that, and you're gonna see these contours, ponds and stuff. With that, there is 91 acres, 91.7 acres of watershed that flows to this point. before leaving the property into the very nice defined ditch. Go to the next slide. So this is the site. This is our little 2-acre lot. And all of this, even some across the road, closer to Colbert, gets to this ditch right here. So in looking to that, we really looked at what a 2-acre lot is really going to have an effect on the total drainage basin to that ditch. So we are 2% of that drainage flow. This little 2-acre lot is a 2% area that flows to it. We did the calculations to where we took the existing grassy, grazy pasture and we converted it to a 2-acre residential lot. And the runoff in 100-year did not change. It stays the exact same, just due to the amount of water that is flowing through there. It has no effect on the downstream of this ditch. We also then analyzed the ditch and made sure it could handle the 100-year flow. And so that is also in your packets as well. And it easily handles it. It's actually got a little bit more capacity than it needs. So with that, we are actually asking for a waiver from detention on this. Being a 2-acre lot, one lot, the idea of adding a large berm and blocking the water up, it would only reduce the total flow to that ditch by 0.8% if we put this thing in. It's almost negligible whether it's detained or not detained. I know we don't typically do that with these anymore, but we are requesting that detention is waived for this one lot minor plat.
Okay. Richard?
Again, for the record, Richard Hoover, Johnson County Planning Engineer. The stormwater drainage ordinance that we have does contemplate a method, a way to have a waiver for detention that could be granted or could be at least contemplated. The comprehensive management ordinance, section 3, paragraph B, policy on stormwater management, a waiver is being requested to allow direct discharge without detention to a ditch that conveys runoff to Indian Creek. As part of the letter that I've written, the recommendation, it outlines and states what our stormwater ordinance says, and it also says that unique situations where the design of or where the design of a pond really has no impact, that we could grant a waiver for that. As Andrew pointed out, the size of the basin is 91.7. The 2-acre lot is about 2% area-wise of the overall drainage basin. The study that he did do, and we verified it, has no impact at all on without detention. There's about 2 feet of freeboard from the study that he did on the downstream ditch. So we think that this appears to be a unique and special situation where the spirit of the ordinance has been met. And although the study does not originate from the ditches where the ditch empties into Indian Creek, it does show that enough of for 91 acres that it doesn't have the impact for it. We therefore recommend approval of the waiver and approval of the plat.
Anybody else here want to speak about it? Look for a motion from the board.
I motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor to approve the waiver. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next up is DR-26-000-3650 Coy Farm minor plat, preliminary final. Andrew, you have the stage again.
Back here again. Andrew Barcosi with Barcosi Surveying, 4800 West Smith Valley Road, Suite O, Greenwood, Indiana, 46142. We're actually going to do a joint. The last two Coy minor plats on here are drainage wise combined. The first one, the Coy Farm, is on the large farmland right at the southeast corner of 350 and 300 South. It actually ends up going all the way up to 135 is over here. This is a creek over here where the big flood zone. This is an existing pond, and this minor plat we're proposing lot 1 here, so 1 lot minor plat on 84 acres, and the existing flow is right to the pond. The next slide. The other minor is on the 7-acre parcel of the existing residence, which was in that little notch of the existing one. So there's already a residence, a barn, and a drive, and another structure out here. This minor plat, we're just creating a 2-acre lot around the existing house to eventually have a buildable lot on this one. So it's another 2-lot minor plat, but it's on 7.2 acres. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. This is the drainage basin that flows to that pond. As you can see, lot 1 from the farm minor plat and the new lot from the 7.2 acre plat all flow down there. There's a little nice grassy drainage ways right into a pond, which is dammed up here. So because of that, we've joined the 2 minor plats together to meet drainage. And to do that, the pond actually works with the existing pipe. The only thing that we are sizing to help with is the emergency spillway. So we sized it for 1.25, the 100-year flow. And it'll actually also act for the outlet of the overflow of the offsite, the small little offsite. It allow for that to overpass if ever needed. So that's what it's sized for. It meets the release rates for the ordinances. We are asking for 1 waiver in the ordinance. They want warning signs about drowning in the ponds. I think we've got this before in one other minor plat, typically meant for your common area in subdivisions, whereas this is extremely rural. The ponds existed for a long time. We just asked for that to be waived.
Okay. For clarification purposes, I'm gonna include DR 26000-3651 into this motion also, so they're both in here.
Okay, for the record, Richard Hoover, Johnson County Planning Engineer. We've examined the reports and everything, and as Andrew says, everything meets with the technical standards and with our ordinance. We did receive a waiver for the signage. It's something that we've done in the past for these ponds that are out in rural areas and hard to get to. We recommend approval of that. And we recommend approval of the minor subdivision with the condition that the final plan and construction documents are submitted to the planning engineer for our review and release instead of coming back to the drainage board again.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from the audience want to speak? Sing a song, free fishing signs? Okay, we have nobody who wants to speak. Look for a motion from the board.
He approves.
Okay,
I motion
so you
to approve.
motion to approve with the waiver for the signs. Okay. We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries 3-0. There you go. You sure you don't want to speak again?
Just one minute.
Yeah.
All right. Next on is DR 26-000-3652. Williams minor plat, preliminary final, Brian Williams, Wyatt Bauer.
Good evening. I'm Scott Harris, Kapoor and Associates, 590 Missouri Avenue, Suite 202, Jeffersonville, Indiana, 47130.
You had a long drive today, sir.
Yes, I was in the area on other business. I didn't put together any slides, but we did submit for a minor plat. We're splitting 30 acres, the south 30 acres off of an 80-acre piece off West 775. And I did the stormwater detention on an existing pond. We meet all the release rates. We put easements around it and an access easement to the pond. I submitted hydrographs as requested and a request for a waiver against these deep water signs since this is a rural pond and private.
Okay. Richard?
So again, we're modifying an existing pond for a single lot on this 2-lot subdivision. They do meet all our standards for release rates. They will be using a control structure with a pipe to modify the outlet for the pond itself. Those are in accordance with Chapter 4 of our Technical Standards Manual. The emergency spillway has been sized to pass 1.25 times the 100-year inflow into the detention facility. Drainage easements are being included for our technical standards ordinance. Post-construction water quality is not required for minor plats. So the information submitted meets with them, and they've requested a waiver for signage as well, which we approve.
Okay. Anybody from the audience want to say anything? Or got any questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. No opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
There you go. And last is DR 26 040 3653. I'm gonna say this and I'll probably get it wrong. Maris. Okay, Maris Industrial Commercial, final.
For the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. I'm going to let the gentleman present their project and then I'll come back.
Okay.
Sounds good. Since we're last, I'll make this super long. I'm kidding. So this is the development of a 35-acre piece of ground in Whiteland, Indiana. If you're familiar with the DHL building that was done a number of years ago, it's the empty lot just to the west of that. So right across the street from Cooper Tire. If you remember, we were here last month to get that Cooper Tire Canary drain finally approved. So we were pretty happy to get that taken care of for you guys and get as-built and all that done. I know Mr. Cantwell's got a couple of notes. We have looked at those. We don't have any concerns with any of those. I think a number of the things will be taken care of quite quickly. I know the fixing of the one lid that wasn't done right as a part of the Cooper Tire project is already in our plans to make sure that's taken care of. And I'm sure he'll talk about some flood routing and things like that from the pond to the south. There is a 5-acre piece of ground between our detention pond at the south end and the open ditch portion of the drain. We are planning on flood routing in that direction to the open ditch as it naturally does. We have also run the math on our pond, and this may or may not change what Greg says, but we have run the back-to-back 100-year storm event as kind of a double check to make sure that we've got plenty of extra capacity in the event that it's needed. And that did check out. So we do have quite a bit of capacity in that pond. If I understand it right too, I think this one's in the town drainage ordinance area, and Mr. Hoover can fix me if I do that wrong. So I think we're going for an outlet, is that right? But he can fix me if I say that wrong. So is that right?
You're out of my jurisdiction.
Yeah, you don't care about me. I get it. It's okay. You've never cared about me. So with that, I'll keep it short. We'll be here to answer any questions you guys have, and I'll yield the stage.
Again, for the record, Greg Cantwell, Johnson County Surveyor. We have received review from our outside reviewer with a recommendation for approval. They do meet water quality and discharge. I have a few things, most of them are just plan stuff, and I think they can be taken care of pretty easy. I have 8 items. I've already provided them, and I gave Connie a copy for the record. Number 1, there's a utility crossing, a water line that will cross the legal drain, and I wanted a detail on that. Number 2, the temporary and permanent crossing of the urban drain. Their construction entrance and the permanent truck entrance does encroach or cross across the drain. Protection of that urban drain in the construction. I wanted to make sure that they gave us some detail on how they would protect that pipe while that construction equipment did cross. Pond emergency overflow. Basically just looking for the overflow in the route, and a heads up, the property to the south, they did receive an encroachment 2 years ago to cross. So the water couldn't go directly south. It's kind of loop around a little bit. We've already mentioned the repair of the ring. And then the only other thing, a bond for 125% of the engineer's estimate, that's your engineer's estimate, of the work done within the easement. And that's it.
Sorry, for the record, Bill Butts with Kimley Horn and Associates. I don't think I did that before. We have reviewed all these. The owner has really no concerns with them. The bonds and that sort of thing are all standard, so we're used to that. The one thing I will note, and as well, we have changed because of that big swale running through there. The temporary access or temporary construction access, we're going to bring it off of Whiteland Road instead of coming from the east. So really the only crossing we'll have there is the permanent, but appreciate, of course, your notes and we can work all those details out with you guys as well.
Okay. I don't think you got any questions, do you? You're it today. You're it today. Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, look for a motion then.
Motion to approve
Okay.
with all 8 items that Greg asked.
Greg spoke for him. Okay, you seconded that, Bob?
I'm not gonna state all of it.
No. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. They're good to start working with Greg. Get this thing done. And I think the next meeting will be Tuesday, September 1st. Same place, same time, 6 o'clock here in the auditorium. For a motion
Motion
to adjourn,
adjourn.
we are adjourned.